A few weeks ago I opened my storage unit, number 43B, and everything inside was wrong. I mean completely wrong. Instead of my gray plastic bins stacked in a neat row, my camping gear, or the broken bookshelf I'd shoved in there after moving, there were dolls. Dozens of them. Old porcelain dolls. Some cracked, most discolored, all arranged in rows on metal shelves, staring at me with blank, glassy eyes. Their expressions weren't playful or innocent. They were vacant, lifeless, watching. And in the back corner of the unit sat a single wooden chair. An antique. Curved arms, a high back, the sort of thing you'd see in an attic no one had been inside for 50 years. It faced the wall. Not outwards. Not toward the door. Just facing the corner like someone had been sitting there. Waiting. I backed out slowly, heart hammering. Rolled the door down, fast, like I was afraid something might dart out after me. Then I checked the unit number again. 43B, right there, painted in black stencil. Same as always. I even pulled up my rental receipt on my phone to be sure. I've had that unit since 2021. Nearly 3 years. My name is Michael Reed. I'm 34. I don't scare easily. But that day, standing in front of 43B, something felt wrong on a level I still can't explain. It was the start of a quiet unraveling I didn't see coming. And if you think this is just a mistake, a storage company screw-up, I did too. Until the chair showed up in my apartment. Back in 2021, I moved from Halifax to a smaller place outside Toronto. I had just left a long-term relationship, lost a job I hated, and wanted a reset. The apartment I found was decent enough. 1 bedroom, top floor, close to a bus route, but not big enough for all my stuff. So I rented a storage unit in a no-frills facility about 15 minutes away. Cheap, beige concrete building, automatic gate with a dodgy keypad, fluorescent lights that flickered on motion sensors. You know the type. Not sketchy but not exactly reassuring either. I picked 43B more or less at random. Ground level. Easy access. I loaded it up with everything I didn't have space for. Winter coats, snowboarding gear, boxes of university books, some family heirlooms I wasn't ready to toss, and a couple of pieces of old furniture I'd never gotten around to selling. I went maybe 4 times a year. It was a boring, forgettable space. Until it wasn't. The day everything changed, I'd gone to grab my hiking boots. I was planning a weekend up in the Muskoka region, and figured I'd finally dig them out. It was early afternoon. Light rain. I remember the gray sky, how still everything felt. The kind of quiet that presses in on you. I punched in my code, the gate creaked open, and I walked down the corridor toward my unit. See corridor, left-hand side, just past the fire exit. I'd walked that stretch so many times I could do it blindfolded. But when I rolled up the door, I froze. The unit was filled with unfamiliar things. The shelves I had installed were gone. In their place were metal racks, lined with rows of porcelain dolls, antique Victorian-looking things. Some were clean. Others looked like they'd been pulled from a flooded basement. Cracks in the faces. Hollow eyes. A few were slumped forward like they'd fallen asleep while sitting up. The air inside smelled old. Damp. Powdery. Like rot and perfume. And the chair. That damn chair. It was the only furniture in there. It wasn't mine. It was the sort of chair you'd expect to find in an old funeral parlor. Ornate carvings, clawed feet, a cushion faded with age. It faced the wall. Not angled, not pushed into a corner, but deliberately positioned. Like someone had been placed there. As punishment. Or penance. I stepped back out, heart pounding, and checked the number. 43B, plain as day. My name was on the lease. I practically jogged to the front office, trying to rationalize what I'd seen. Maybe someone broke in. Maybe there was a system glitch. Some mix-up. The kid behind the counter looked barely out of high school. He had one earbud in and was scrolling through his phone. I think there's been a mistake, I said. Someone else's stuff is in my unit. He asked for the number. Typed it in. Then frowned. Been under your name since 2021, he said. No record of access from anyone else. I showed him photos I'd taken during the move, just to prove it had once been filled with my stuff. He shrugged. Offered to cut the lock and help me remove the weird crap. But I said no. Something about that unit made my skin crawl. I couldn't go back in. It wasn't about the chair. It wasn't about the dolls. It was the feeling that they were waiting for me. That I'd interrupted something. I went home and tried to forget. But that night I dreamed of the chair. It was in my apartment this time. In the corner of the living room. Same positioning. Facing away from me. But I knew something was in it. Something I couldn't see. And in the dream I couldn't move. I was frozen to the couch watching it slowly turn. I stayed away for almost a week, tried to move on with my life. I tell myself it was a prank, a rare mix-up, maybe even a hallucination, lack of sleep, too much stress. But the dreams kept coming. The chair, always in the corner, always turned away. Sometimes I'd hear something breathing. Other times the dolls were there too, stacked around the chair, facing me like a jury. Finally I caved. I needed to go back. I needed proof. I brought gloves, a flashlight, a face mask. Hell, I brought a box cutter just in case. I told no one. I don't know why, but it felt like the kind of thing that needed to be dealt with alone. It was a cloudy Saturday afternoon. The air felt thick, heavy with static. The gate buzzed open. As I walked the corridor toward 43B, I realized something was off. I wasn't alone. The hallway felt aware, like the space itself was waiting. When I rolled up the door, the dolls were there. Same positions, same faces. But this time my stuff was behind them. Stacked at the back, water damaged and covered in mildew, were my original boxes. I recognized my handwriting on one of them, Uni Books, M. Reed. They had returned, but aged, weathered like they'd been left in a swamp. I stepped inside. It was cold. Not cool, cold. My breath fogged in the air. And the deeper I stepped into the unit, the more I felt like I was intruding. I picked up one of the dolls. Its head lolled in my hand. On the back of its porcelain neck was something scratched into the glaze. You moved out. It stayed. I dropped it. It shattered, but not cleanly. Like bone. A powdery residue puffed into the air. Then the chair creaked. Not the building. Not the shelves. The chair. Like someone was shifting their weight in it. I ran. I didn't lock the unit. I didn't even close it all the way. I just bolted out, heart pounding like a drum. That night the dreams came back, but sharper. More real. I saw my apartment from above like a bird circling. The chair was in my room, and I was in it, facing the corner. I tried to convince myself I was losing it. Stress maybe. A breakdown. Then, 3 nights later, I heard something in my apartment. It started around 3 a.m. I woke up to a soft tapping sound. Not urgent. Just steady. Like porcelain on wood. I thought it was coming from the living room. I walked out with my phone light on. And there it was. The chair. Sitting in the corner. Facing away. I stopped breathing. My mind went blank. It wasn't possible. I never brought it home. Never touched it. I hadn't even entered the unit fully when I saw it. I circled it slowly, phone camera shaking in my hand. When I got to the front, empty. But the cushion was warm. I dragged it outside and left it at the curb. Didn't even think twice. I just wanted it gone. The next morning it was gone. Not picked up. Not stolen. Just gone. Then the facility called. There'd been a break-in. Not into the storage units, into their office. Someone had smashed the terminal. The only file that had been corrupted or deleted. What? The file for Unit 43B. I asked the manager, older guy, serious voice, if there was a record of who rented it before me. He hesitated. Says here it was unoccupied for 13 years, he said. Sealed. No key activity. No entries. You were the first one since 2008. My heart sank. I asked him if there was any record of previous tenants. No, he said. But we did find something odd when cleaning up. A clipboard in the back office. Paperwork for 43B, dated 1986. Just a list. One word. What word? He paused. Occupied. I moved within 2 weeks. Packed up my life into a rented van and drove west to British Columbia. I didn't tell anyone why. Not really. Just said I needed a change of scenery. A new job, a new apartment, a new start. The dreams stopped. For a while. I didn't think about the chair. Or the dolls. Or the things I never said out loud. Until last week. I was unpacking a box labeled Bedroom Miscellaneous. One I'd never opened since the move. And there it was. A doll. Same cracked porcelain. Same expressionless face. Same cloudy glass eyes. I never brought it home. I was sure of it. But there it was, wrapped in old newspaper like it had been packed long ago. I turned it over. On the back, etched into the ceramic in jagged lines. IT knows where you live. Now, at night, I hear the same sound again. The soft tapping. Sometimes a creak. From the hallway. From the closet. From the corner of the room where I don't keep furniture. I haven't seen the chair again. But I know it's waiting. I think 43B wasn't a place. It was a threshold. And I stepped over it. My name is Michael Reed. And if you ever rent a storage unit, check the number twice. Some doors open to more than just forgotten things. Some doors open, and something comes out.